Okay, so let's get into the reason why so many people love this class when I do it. They want to know about the lifestyle of millionaires, what they spend their money on, what they drive, what they wear, where they live, so forth. So what is it like to spend like a millionaire? Are we looking at homes that have the 3,500, 4,500, 5,000, 10,000 square foot homes, mansions that we call them? Are they driving the sports car from Europe, from Italy, that ends in an I? There seems to be no end to the amount of money you can spend on vehicles like that. And so a lot of the middle and high school students and beyond assume that that's, if you see a car like that, the person behind the wheel must be the millionaire, or that all millionaires would be driving those. Where do they shop? Do they shop at Rodeo Drive or in Saks Fifth Avenue, just Fifth Avenue in New York, or at boutique clothiers and for upscale handbags and so forth? Well, let's talk about reality. So looking at these, you got a couple of mansions, a lake house, a penthouse, and a house in the suburbs. The reality is they're not going to live, most, I'm not saying that those living in here are not very well off, but most millionaires are not going to live in the mansion. They typically are going to be in a home that they've been in for 20 years or more. They have developed it's taken them a while to build their net worth. And just because they wake up one morning and realize, hey, we're millionaires, they're not going to uproot themselves and move to $1 million home and leave behind what is most important to them, which typically would be the relationships they built with neighbors and friends and churches and clubs and other nonprofits that they tend to be pretty well connected to. So they may live in a penthouse, but not likely. Lake houses, maybe as a second house, place that they might rent out, but more likely they're going to live in a home that is not anything that would grab your attention or twist your neck. In 2018 dollars, they're about $400,000 homes on average, and they're not going to be massive. So a standard home in the suburbs, or nothing that's going to call attention to itself. Okay, so with that in mind, it's probably pretty easy to look at these options for what they drive and figure out what we thought was a millionaire vehicle and what the reality is. So we'll get rid of that $1 million car there. And then Mercedes is actually in the top 10, top 5 maybe, but it's usually one of the smaller Mercedes, but it's not in the top 3. You got the old cars and the big cars here. Yeah, some of them do like to drive around in a big A-class or C-class mobile or motorhome, but typically that is uncommon. And they may have car projects. That's not what they're going to drive around town on a regular basis. If they have the old car, whether it's from 30s or 20s or 60s or 70s, they'll probably just drive it with their friends and show it off at car shows. So what you're ended up with, the 3 most common makes, manufacturers driven by millionaires in 2018, Toyotas, and this is 2019 as well, Toyotas, Hondas, Fords. They're quite often 3 years old. It's the most common age. Most are going to actually buy used, fairly recent. And in 2018 dollars, we're looking at vehicles that are $40,000 or less. So it's hard. People will say, "Well, am I supposed to buy a brand new truck?" Then, and that's what the point is that millionaires don't. I love this saying I heard: The rich stay rich because they spend like they're poor, and the poor stay poor because they spend like they're rich. That is not always the case, and it's not. I recognize it as an oversimplification, but it is very appropriate for certain segments of the population. Those who have high net worths aren't that way because they're spending on vehicles that depreciate in value, and all vehicles, even if you buy a collector vehicle, they're going to go down in value unless you put money into it and continue to put money into it. Okay, so where do they shop? Let's go ahead and get rid of Fifth Avenue, New York. Let's get rid of the Louis Vuitton and the upscale, overpriced clothiers. Let's get rid of Rodeo Drive. They may not all shop at Walmart, but that is the most common place you'll find them shopping for their clothes and for their food. You may even find many in thrift stores, but they're not. I had some students once say, "Oh, millionaires are the ones you see out begging for money, and they're just pretending." And that's, I think there was a show that showed something like that once. Highly uncommon. They are, as the title of the book is the basis of this discussion says, the millionaire next door, they are just going to be people that look like your neighbors and friends, but they're not in it for the show. So if you see somebody that is showing off, it's probably not somebody who's pulled themselves up through the last 15, 20, 30 years to become a millionaire with a lot of hard work and self-discipline. That's not what it's about. Okay, so go ahead and continue with the course. We'll have one more video section after this.